Hey everyone, welcome to the Get Your Life Together Girl Mini Mindset Reset. I'm your host, Danielle Van. As a cognitive behavioral therapist, a life coach to women, and author, one thing has become abundantly clear. So much of what gets in our way in our daily lives is not only how we think, but what we think, our mindset. Because of that, every other week, I'm taking your requests and questions and handing over quick, easy to use, practical strategies and life tools to help you shift your thinking, create calm, help you understand and express your emotions, harness your inner power, and learn how to navigate your personal story in 15 minutes or less. After all, how else can you get your life together? So let's shift your perspective with the tools and conversations that help you in the throes of change. The Get Your Life Together Girl podcast mini mindset reset starts right now. We all know that boundaries with other people are extremely necessary. They are essential in establishing healthy relationships with others. And yet they're also very essential in creating a healthy relationship with the self. In today's Mindset Reset, we're looking at how to set individual boundaries based on an anonymous question that was sent in. It reads, Danielle, I have understood boundaries from a new perspective in the way that you recently spoke about it, as it being a line between what's okay for you and what's not. My problem is I'm not certain what my self line is. I'm not sure what's okay for me to do and what's not okay for myself. When I spoke to a friend about this, they said it was more about trusting myself, but I want to get your take on it. Can you please help? Of course. Of course I can help. First and foremost, let's talk about the further definition of that line between what's okay and what's not. Boundaries help us live in tune with our desires and needs and wants. It's a place where we can easily say no to the things that we do not want and yes to what we do. It's a place of helping us foster our emotional, mental, spiritual, physical, and financial well-being. In the world that we live today, it's not uncommon for us to be told that we have to do better, that we have to make more money, that we have to look a certain way, we have to feel a certain way. And in that, we're often pressured to push our boundaries a little bit further, to take on a line that it's not really okay with us, not acceptable. And yes, of course, as you mentioned in your question, it is about trust, about self-trust, but there are ways to set boundaries with ourselves that are sustainable and do help us stay in a healthy place. So let's get right to those. First and foremost, identify the areas of your life that you just need structure or you need limits. It could be your finances, your relationships, even your phone, how much you're on social media, your daily routines, your physical health, your nutrition, your emotional health, right? There's a lot of different areas. But look at where you need to put some structure and limits. That's a first place to really identify what you need, where that line is. And then next, create that line. Once you identify the areas that need that line, create the line by aligning it with your values and your goals. So say you are in a space that you need to put a line, a boundary with the self, with your finances. You're overspending, you are emotionally spending, you're out there buying whatever because it gives you that hit of dopamine. So the line would be not doing that, not being reactive and using your debit card or swiping, tap, whatever, in a moment where you are emotionally charged. The goal is to give yourself a savings to change your value in your relationship with money. See what I'm saying? Identify the area, create the line that reflects your goals and your values. The third step is don't try to set too many boundaries at once. We never need to set fire to our lives to create active change everywhere. It's not necessary. So don't set too many boundaries at once, too many lines, because it becomes overwhelming. And guess what? It leads to failure. We want to look at our systems, how we're getting to the space, instead of just changing everything and hoping that it works. The fourth is to use compassionate accountability. Hold yourself accountable for maintaining that line, but do so with compassion. Remember, like I always say, you will screw this up. If you are in that space where you are creating the financial boundary, you may be reactive one day and you add something to your cart. Be kind to the self if that happens. Know that you are having a moment and allow yourself to readjust instead of just creating a miserable experience for yourself. And the fifth one is to make incremental changes. Setting a line is a process and it takes practice. It is important, it's imperative that you make small changes over time. So gradually build to bigger lines, to bigger understandings. If you set these places for yourself, it's very achievable to hold space for yourself. That's what that means. This is my line. I'm holding space in order to make my life what I want it to be. If we keep our boundaries, if we're clear with our reason of why, it helps us increase our worthiness. It helps us know that we're capable. It gives us validation, and it knows that we don't have to cave, but we also have the ability to build joy and happiness and all of our good emotions. What I'm saying is it builds a fantastic self-concept. We prioritize our own well-being when we set lines, even with ourselves, to help us achieve a goal and a more fulfilling life. Of course, that's a very quick way to run through self-boundaries. This is a topic that could be talked about for quite some time, but that's an overview. It really is that simple to start identifying the areas, looking at what you need and want, and then choosing to put it in place. Holding the boundaries. It takes some discipline. It takes the ability to hold yourself important. Now, here's what boundaries look like with the self, just to give you some examples, pretty much like what we just talked about. But one would be not buying the things that you can't afford. That's a line. Two is taking regular breaks during the day instead of trying to hustle and force your way through the day and exhausting yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Three would be keeping the promises that you make to yourself. So keeping the boundary, the line in place. Four would be ending the toxic relationships, the things that are not working, the connections that drain you. This is a line that should not be crossed, and holding yourself in self-authority means that you end the things that are not working for you. 5 would be to create a healthy sleep cycle. 6 is taking time to honor your feelings and process your thoughts, being non-reactive, right? That's a huge line that a lot of us need to address and own. 7 would be talking with yourself like you are a loved one, a friend. If you missed Tuesday's podcast about how you speak to yourself and the way that it processes and becomes the instruction manual to your life, that's episode 280. Go back and listen to it. I'll put it in the show notes. But this is very important, and it is essential as to a line that needs to be formed. Number 8 would be giving up the idea that you are going to be perfect. Guess what? Never going to happen. I say that with conviction because it's a line that I've had to learn not just once, but about 50 million times, right? The next thing to really identify and look at, that's a perfect boundary for the self, I did just say perfect, is limiting your screen time, how much time you are on your phone, engaging in social media, engaging with the emails that you get after hours, whatever it may be, limiting that time. These are really great boundaries. So again, go back to step 1. What do I need? Where are the areas? And then determine how you can best serve yourself. life is always a little messy, right? So making sure that you have a line that is very clear, not only with others, but with the self, helps you keep your core values. It keeps your mindfulness in check. It says, I love you, right? It adds an extra layer of cooperation to your life that helps you succeed. Know that you can be constructive with your approach to life. And that's going to lead to less conflict and greater harmony and a better understanding of the self. Setting boundaries, as I mentioned, is a process. So be patient, but know that this is the first place to start. I hope it serves you. Thank you so much for listening to the Get Your Life Together Girl mini mindset reset. If you have a subject or strategy request, email us at getyourlifetogethergirl@gmail.com. Or you can visit our website at getyourlifetogethergirl.com. If you're looking for daily inspiration or tips and tools, join the growing community at Get Your Life Together Girl on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Thank you for being a valuable member of this community. Until next time, be kind to yourself and others.